A betting preview edition of Pucks Across Borders on Total Apex Sports and Sports Addict Live, brought to you by the one, the only First Round Collectibles. Right now, with our promo code Sports Addict, get 10% off whatever sports card you want in the entire First Round Collectibles store. They have an ongoing sale up to 50% off, tons and tons of cards. And with our promo code Sports Addict, not only do you get 10% off of regular priced items, but sales items as well. Do the math. 20 becomes 30, 30, 40, 40, 50, 50, 60. You get the idea. Whatever sport you want, hockey, football, basketball, baseball, wrestling, even boxing, whatever it is, I promise you they have it. Go to firstroundcollectibles.com today. Use promo code SportsAddict for 10% off your order, regular price and sales price items. That's the number one, FST. roundcollectibles.com. Firstroundcollectibles.com. First Round Collectibles, sports cards for sports fans.
Yeah. Let's go. We just gotta go hard. I go the hardest. I bring the pain. Not what you used to. It's all part of the game. Yeah, I just gotta go hard. I just gotta go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And welcome. We are back. Welcome to Pucks Across Borders on Sports Addict Live. And as always, Total Apex Sports. It's been a minute. Of course, we did not do a show today, but we are back tonight doing a show for tomorrow's games. Plus, we'll break down whatever in the world happened tonight, plus things over the weekend. Lots to get to, as always. Brought to you by First Round Collectibles. Promo code SportsAddict for 10% off your order. But first, as always, we'll get to all of it. But before we do, Andre, before I throw it to you, I always ask you how you're doing because I genuinely care. And today I care even more than normal, which is a lot. You know, we talk to each other for the last year. We talk almost every day, and I care about you. The Giants are the Giants, and the Rangers are having a tough time. How you doing, man? You sent me a text yesterday. If Jim Montgomery and his St. Louis Blues beat your Rangers, I forget exactly what you said, but I know it wasn't great. How you doing, Andre? How you doing? And if it leads into your takeaway, so be it. Give it to me. What's going on, bro?
It's not going to lead into my takeaway. I'm surprisingly fine. Fortunately for the Rangers, and fortunately for myself, I did say I would never show my face again if we lost to the Blues. But
yeah, you're here.
Yeah, I learned some information well before the game that changed that a bit.
Okay.
We're going to get into it. Don't worry. I'm actually doing fine, though. It really helps that the Knicks just absolutely beat the brakes off the Nuggets tonight. So really salvage things, but
yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's the beauty of rooting for multiple teams, right? Is you're feeling some pain in one area, you got another team to kind of take the edge off. All right, so lots to get into. Let's go over tonight in the NHL. Quickly move over here to Monday. Currently, we'll start with the right now. The Ducks are beating the Kraken 2-1, and of course, the Kings really just want to ruin my wonderful parlay that I have going on. They're losing to the Sharks 1-0. For the rest of the NHL tonight, the Avalanche got the brakes beat off them by the Lightning 8-2. That was 6-1 after the first period, man. Whenever you think the Avalanche are turning a corner, their goaltenders say, hold my beer. And this is what happens. 8-2 on only 33 shots. The Capitals beat the Panthers. One of the, and we'll get into it as the show goes on, but one of the road dogs that I actually really liked, the Capitals, if I remember correctly, they were like plus 142 or something crazy. This theory didn't work for me in the Dallas-Carolina game, but when I looked at the goaltending matchup in this one, Washington Panthers, I saw Spencer Knight, and no disrespect to Spencer Knight, but he was in net for Florida, and Logan Thompson was in net for Washington, and I was like, plus 142, okay, I'll bite. And the Capitals win 4-1. Predators lose again. I feel like we just stopped talking about this team, right? Like, what else do we say? They lose after a really, really good win that destroyed. Speaking of destroying parlays, they destroyed my parlay on Saturday, beating the Jets 4-1, and they come out lose to the Devils 5-2. The Blues beat the Rangers 5-2 as well. Jim Montgomery's first game. We'll get into more on that. The Golden Knights down 3-0 early to the Philadelphia Flyers. They come back, win 5-4 in a shootout. The Dallas Stars up 3-1 going into the third period, end up losing 6-4 against the Hurricanes. Hurricanes, speaking of Spencer Martin was in net for the Hurricanes because they have no goalies right now, and they still find a way to beat the Dallas Stars. Calgary Flames lose to Ottawa 4-3. Red Wings beat the Islanders 4-2, and the Jets beat the Wild 4-1. Lots happened both on and off the ice throughout the weekend. So, Andre, it could be by tonight, could be about yesterday, could be about Saturday, Friday, whatever you want. I will mention too, the only game in the NHL yesterday, the Leafs beat Utah 3-2. What do you got, man? What's your takeaway from the weekend that was?
My takeaway starts on Thursday night. It
Ooh.
starts in Alberta.
Okay.
We're in Canada. We're in Calgary. The New York Rangers are playing the Calgary Flames. The New York Rangers would lose that game 3-2. The New York Rangers would allow 49 shots on goal, and Igor Shesterkin would carry them to a one-goal game to give them a chance and fall hopelessly flat. The Rangers would play again. They would. They would play the Edmonton Oilers again on the road, finishing up their road trip on Saturday. They would lose that game 6-2. They would allow 40 shots on goal to two of the most lethal scorers on the planet. On top of other things, another 2-goal performance from the offense. Granted, 34 shots. They probably deserved more. But that's not the point of this, because tonight, against new head coach Jim Montgomery, who, fun fact, scored his first career goal against the Rangers as a member of the St. Louis Blues, coached for the St. Louis Blues, first time in his life, tonight against the New York Rangers in the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden. And Coach Montgomery and his St. Louis Blues, the man was unemployed for like 3 days, first of all. Impressive.
Yeah, I know.
Second of all,
I wish.
42 shots on goal. The St. Louis Blues, whose offense had been lifeless for most of the season, pull out a 5-2 road win, score 4 goals in the third period. Granted, one of them was an empty netter, but still, the Rangers allow 40-plus shots again. Offense only scores 2 goals again. And fittingly, with the info I have, or what I know is about to happen, Pavel Buchnevich with the empty netter that probably kills the core of the Rangers. If people don't remember, New York traded Pavel Buchnevich to St. Louis years ago for, I don't even remember the player's name, and I don't want to call him a bag of chips because that doesn't really seem fair. But it was a bad trade that didn't
disrespectful.
happen. Yeah, I don't want to be disrespectful. I mean, I think the dude, whoever it was, like tore his ACL immediately. So I don't want to be. It was Sammy Blais. Sammy Blais, you did nothing wrong. I'm not going to call you a bag of chips. We shouldn't have traded Buchnevich. We've been talking about this team for a couple weeks now. Vibes are off. Vibes are off. And I blamed it on the Garden, right? The vibes are off in the Garden. The vibes are still off in the Garden. We know what that's all about. But the Rangers vibes, they've been off since really June, I would say. And we just try to ignore it because they started hot. They were picking up points, whatever. But we know what happened this offseason. It was a whole lot of nothing. They tried to trade Trouba. Trouba kept rejecting it. His wife was finishing med school or something. He didn't want to move his family. He has no trade clause. Understandable. Whatever. Team didn't make any moves. Uh, they're professionals, right? We didn't think it would affect them. They've played together for years. Apparently, it's affecting them. Because Jacob Trouba, unplayable. Ryan Lindgren looks awful. Mika Zibanejad, every fan hates him. Apparently, the Rangers are shopping Lindgren. It's fine. They're still shopping Trouba. Probably not going to go anywhere because he doesn't want
No.
to. And now they're trying to trade Chris Kreider.
Yeah, I heard that too today. That's ridiculous.
Why? I don't know. I don't know what Chris Kreider has to do with this. I know he didn't practice today. He ended up playing, or he didn't practice yesterday. He ended up playing. Whatever. I don't know why they're trying to trade him. I'm not panicking on this team because the core is still good. Filipino's going to come back. The third line's been playing well. The Panarin, Lafreniere, Trocheck line has been playing well. They're gonna. There's a big move coming. There is a storm coming for this team. It might blow up in their face. It might propel them to another conference finals or more. It might just be clearing room for Igor's lifetime contract and part ownership of the city. I don't know, but I'm not panicking because the vibes are off and something big's about to happen. I can feel it. I don't know if it's going to be true, but I don't know if it's going to be Lindy. I pray it's not Kreider, but something crazy is about to happen with this Rangers team trade-wise, and it's going to define the rest of their season. So that's where I'm at. They've looked awful. They've felt awful. It didn't manifest into a losing streak until this weekend. We're talking about they lost 2 in a row for the first time in Edmonton, and then tonight was 3. But they're going to be fine because the talent's there. And somebody's about to get sent packing. And it needs to happen. Sometimes you just got to shake it up. As for Jordan, he asked for a live update on the Yukon three-peat after we lost to Memphis and Hawaii. And I got to say, they were down 12, somehow forced OT. They were down 12 with like 3 minutes left and forced OT. It might have been less than that. The refs were terrible. Samson Johnson pushed the kid. It was an eventful day. We're chilling though. We're in Maui. We're having a good time. The ladies won. It's cool. It's cool. What's more important is off the basketball court. It's on the ice. And it's that the Rangers are an absolute mess right now. And they don't need to be. They don't.
No. Listen, man, I heard that today too. Something about Chris Kreider. I can't remember listening to the radio or a podcast or whatever. I'll tell you something, okay? Listen, if they trade Chris Kreider, I am very, very curious of what that looks like because isn't he the third in franchise history in goals?
Yeah, we had this conversation at the end of the Rangers Canes series a few months ago. He is very up there in Rangers history, both regular season and postseason.
And it's like, I'm down. Like, we've had, obviously, it's a completely different context because the Rangers have had much more playoff success than the Leafs had. But we had this conversation all summer with Mitch Marner. It's like, you can trade somebody like that, like a Chris Kreider, but like, for what and why? Like, if it's just for the sake of shaking things up, like, I get it, Trouba. He's been around for a long time. He's been a real important piece for a long time. You can trade Trouba and survive. And you may trade Chris Kreider and still get to the playoffs, but trading a piece like Chris Kreider is unbelievable. And it's really interesting too, Andre, because we talked about this. I can't remember if it was on the show or off the show or what it was, but we're talking about this like a week or two ago, how when the Rangers were 9-4-1, I believe the record was. They're 9-4-1. Since then, they are 3-3. So, statistically speaking, the sky's not falling. But when they were 9-4-1, man, Rangers beat reporters were very doom and gloom about this team. Like, very, like, be aware. Like, something is happening. And the rest of us, just 9-4-1, we're not in the market. We follow the league. I mean, you're in the market, but I'm just out here in Toronto chilling. It's like, well, if they're 9-4-1, they're okay. But man, like whatever happened on the East Coast and that game, Like, I didn't watch the game tonight, but that game, was Jonathan Quick in net on Saturday against Edmonton, or is that just Sturkey?
Yeah.
That was
It
Jonathan
was
Quick,
Quick.
right? And
Yeah.
Quick has been very well documented how good he's been since being the backup for the Rangers. But the way the style the Rangers are playing right now, if it's a style at all, is just their goaltenders have to win the game. And that's just not sustainable. So I'm really interested to see. You'd have to think that the Rangers are going to figure it out. But as a segue, how long do you think Peter Laviolette is safe? Because no one is safe in this stupid league. I can't believe. So my takeaway, and I do want to talk about my Maple Leafs because I try to hold it back, but I got to get it out eventually, and I am going to talk about my Maple Leafs. But more importantly, we got to touch on this Jim Montgomery saga with Drew Bannister being fired in St. Louis. So I was listening to a podcast today that broke it all down, and we all kind of knew this. It's out there. This isn't some secret, but it appears that Craig Berube was fired from St. Louis before Christmas last year. Drew Bannister takes over as the intern head coach, right? Or interim. Intern is something different. Interim head coach, not an intern. And he has that title for the whole rest of the year. Now, I believe it was May 7th was game 1 between Boston and Florida. And they didn't make him the head coach officially, Drew Bannister that is, until Boston beat the Leafs and went to the second round. And it appears that the reasoning for that now is Doug Armstrong, the GM for St. Louis, always wanted Jim Montgomery. And if he got fired after that round 1 collapse against Toronto, St. Louis was right there waiting to scoop this guy up. Doesn't happen. They beat the Leafs. They move on. Drew Bannister is now made the head coach. Fast forward, we're not even at U.S. Thanksgiving yet. I know it's close, but we're not there yet. And Drew Bannister is gone 3 days after Jim Montgomery gets fired. Was it even 3 days? I think it was 3 days, 4 days, something like that. Not even a full 5-day work week from when Jim Montgomery is fired. Drew Bannister, and like literally, dude, I don't know how you found out about this, but I think it was like a TSN notification, like here for me. The literal notification on my phone was Drew, and I swear to God, it was Drew Bannister fired, Jim Montgomery hired as replacement in the same notification. It wasn't even like Drew Bannister's fired, a couple hours go by, Jim Montgomery. It was literally in the same notification. And we've talked about this and this league and coaches getting fired and how stupid, ridiculous it is. This is a whole different kind of thing for me because on the one hand, I get it, man. Like Drew Bannister was your interim head coach and you didn't make it official until the guy that you wanted was not available. Now the guy that you wanted is available. The St. Louis Blues, I mean, now they win tonight, so they have 21 points. But coming into tonight, they had 19 points. Colorado had 24. Dallas had 26. Minnesota had 30. Winnipeg had 34. In your division, if you were going to make the playoffs, you had to do something quick. I get it. My heart here, so I understand, as much as I hate the coaching carousel and how quickly coaches get fired in this league, we talked about this. Spencer Carberry for Washington, he was literally his first game as a head coach for the Washington Capitals was last October, and he is the 14th longest tenured head coach in the National Hockey League. Like, that is insane. But I understand this one. But Drew Bannister, like, what did he do? Like, this is just a casualty of war, man. Like, he, the St. Louis Blues, I like them a lot more than you did, but those guys aren't loaded with talent. They're not deep by any stretch of the imagination. Like, the St. Louis Blues, if they made it to the playoffs, they were never going to be more than a eighth seed, maybe a seventh seed, but they were going to be a wild card regardless if they made it in at all. This isn't Drew Bannister's fault, but your guy came available. He doesn't even make it a full year. I don't remember off the top of my head exactly when Craig Berube got fired, but I'm pretty sure it was not 12 months ago, like to the date. I'm pretty sure it was in December. So Drew Bannister, man, this is a whole nother level. Like, this is not what I've been complaining about. This is a whole nother thing. I understand it. I get it. But poor Drew Bannister, man. Like, that's like, literally, dude, like, you go to a party and you're with your girl and this guy with a six pack and just like a Mercedes in the driveway, she goes home with him. It's nothing that you did. It's just you don't have abs and you don't have a Mercedes. Like, you're a good guy. You work hard. You pay the bills. You take her for dinner. Like, but you don't have what she wants. You know what I mean? Dude, I hate to see it. I hate it.
I think the moral of the story is that she or Bannister wasn't the one. You know,
wasn't the one.
One, right? I guess Bannister's not the right.
No,
the Blues weren't the one for Bannister. That's the moral of the story. And I mean, you know, good for the organization because they got in the Mercedes with Montgomery and they won their first game 5-2 against what we think is a playoff team. And just to bring it full circle again, their effort was incredible. They played with the new fire. They skated circles around the Rangers. Whereas you want to see a lack of effort in a team that desperately needs a shakeup. I'm not saying Laviolette needs to get fired. Lord knows the NHL doesn't need another coach canned, but watch Pavel Buchnevich's empty netter, and you'll see a lot of what apathy does to a team.
Yeah. I love Joy in the comments. Old man Montgomery is the old guy with money, right? He's just like he's like 20 years older than you, 20 years older than her. What are you gonna do, man? He's had it, and the thing is too, man. Like this is a whole other kind of this has popped into my head, but like Jordan Kyrou scores tonight. He's been a ghost for like the majority of the season. I know that because he's on my fantasy team. Not only do I pay attention to the league, but he's on my fantasy team. And, Jordan Kyrou, this is his third coach. He's been in the league for like 5 minutes. Like, yeah. It's just, and I'm sure we could go through every team and like how many coaches has this guy had, has this guy had. It's just ridiculous, man. I can't believe it. But, and then in Boston, Joe Sacco comes in, and I have to stop myself from saying Joe Sakic every time because they're different people. Joe Sacco comes in, and Boston hasn't lost yet, and they're winning games 1-0, 2-1. It's only been 2 games, but 1-0, 2-1. Oh, what has happened? What have I been talking about for the last 12 months? The coach gets fired, and now the goaltenders are making saves? Wow. This is Minnesota all over again. Jim Montgomery, I mean, he's hired now. He literally worked tonight, so he's fine. But he's like, oh, thanks, Swayman. Corpusalo, appreciate it. Couldn't get me a save. But that's cool. Thanks a lot. But yeah, man, I felt so bad for Drew Bannister. I never met the dude. I don't know the dude. But when I saw that in the same notification, I was just like, man, That's cold, dude. That's
Yeah.
a whole new level of NHL just cruelty, man.
Yeah, I think I when I texted you, it was the Bruins official like message or tweet or whatever. I'm pretty sure it had, or not the Bruins, the Blues. I'm pretty sure it had hired and fired in the same one. So
Yeah,
crazy, crazy, crazy league
it's
that does
brutal.
not believe in leashes
No, it's brutal. Absolutely
anyway.
brutal. Um, there's a lot of other brutal we could talk about, but we won't. We could talk about Pittsburgh getting spanked 10-1 or 10-2 over the course of 2 games this weekend.
It's
That's
a
pretty
normal
brutal.
weekend.
I finally heard it, by the way, Andre. I didn't tell you about this. I finally heard a sports talk show on Toronto radio talking about what a trade for Sidney Crosby would look like to come to the Leafs. I finally heard it. It took a while, but I finally heard it today, and I'm here for it. I'm all about it. I love it. Why not? Very interesting stuff.
You're,
Yeah,
you're getting too close to the new year.
yeah. The Nashville Predators, we could talk about that, but we won't. Listen, man, I try not to do this because it's my team. But listen, man, Austin Matthews, one of the best players in the NHL, one of the best players in the world. This story matters. He has been out. He's been hurt. He was day to day. Then he was in Germany. And now he's might come back on Wednesday. We have no idea, really. And in true Toronto Maple Leaf fashion, we don't even really know what's wrong with him. He could have been on vacation for all we know. No one really says anything. But without Austin Matthews, the Toronto Maple Leafs are 7-1 in all 7. And talking about Mitch Marner being paraded out of town in the summer, in all 7 wins, Mitch Marner has at least 2 points. So there's that. There's 7-1 since he's been gone. The Toronto Maple Leafs are now first place in the Atlantic Division. The Tampa Bay Lightning win tonight. They have 24 points. They're third place. Florida has 25 points. Florida, do I have this right? Let me double check. They've lost 4 in a row. Was it 5 in a row tonight? I feel like tonight was their 4th in a row. But they've lost like 6 of their last 7 games, I'm pretty sure. Like Florida hasn't been lighting up at all lately.
Yeah, tonight was 4 and 6 of 7, and none of them were OT. So
yeah,
that one Jets win that we thought, oh, they're fine, and then they're not fine.
No. And, you know, my point to all of this is Toronto's racking up wins without their top guy. It's awesome. Clearly, they don't need him. Trade Austin Matthews. We don't need him. He's a bum, which obviously isn't true. But my point is this. I have said this for so long. And we've only had this show for a year, so it's only been a year on air. But I've been saying this. You know what you should do, Toronto Maple Leafs? If in the first round of the playoffs you keep playing Boston and Tampa, and you keep playing the second and third place team in your division, you know what you should do to maybe give yourself a better chance in the first round? You should win your division. And I know that it's just Thanksgiving, just right now in a couple days, but they are in first place in the Atlantic. Their goaltending has not looked better than this in a really, really long time. Their defense has not looked like this in the entirety of the Matthew Marner's Nylander era. Their offense, they have 6 players on IR right now. 6. And they're just calling guys up, winning games, no big deal. Like the Maple Leafs are in a really, really good position right now. And while the rest of the division has no idea what they're doing, like Tampa, win 8-2 tonight, great. They'll probably lose 5-1 the next game. Boston just got a new coach. We'll see what happens with that. Buffalo, Detroit, Ottawa, we don't have to talk about how Jacqueline Hyde those teams are. This is a huge, huge step for Toronto to lose their best player, the best goal scorer in the league, and to be able to continue to win like this. And the way they're doing it, man, I'm telling you, I hate it. I hate the words coming out of my mouth, but it's different, man. This is a different Leafs team from what we have seen. The old Maple Leafs do not do this, although their overall record without Matthews is weirdly amazing. Um, but I gotta tell you, man, that game last night, and I think it was due because Taylor Swift was here for 6 shows over the course of 2 weekends, but I'm pretty sure Sunday was the Santa Claus parade. Did you see this? The traffic in Toronto was so bad yesterday, which is just every day, by the way. The traffic in Toronto is just awful all the time. And I really do believe this. You can, yeah, shut up, bro. Thank you for your comment, but get out of here. Yeah, write that down, right? Just waiting to see. I believe I've been to LA. I've been to like Manhattan, like New York City. Toronto traffic is absolutely outrageous, and it's not as big of a city as LA or New York. But trust me when I say the traffic in Toronto is brutal. Point is, the Utah Hockey Club were going to the rink last night, and the traffic was so bad that they were going to be late, and they had to walk. The bus had to park, and Utah had to walk at like 5 o'clock. The game started at 7. So I don't know if that has something to do with it, but big win for the boys last night. Willie Nylander playing with his brother, Alex, pretty cool moment. But yeah, man, I had to get it off my chest. I'm happy with what the Leafs are doing right now. They're leading the division. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's a good spot to be in. You can never really look at the standings, look at yourself in first, be like, oh, wow, this is awful. No, it's pretty nice, especially when the team you face in the first round is a team that doesn't deserve to be in the playoffs, like, the 2023-24 Washington Capitals, as an example. Yeah, it's nice. So keep it up. Maybe you'll get rewarded with a easy first round that's not in your division for once. But knowing Toronto's luck, it's going to be Tampa.
Well, you know what's funny? If the playoffs started tomorrow, it would be the Rangers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Which would actually be a really good series. All right. The one other thing that I wanted to mention, I just want to say this really quickly. We talk about this a lot, so I won't harp on it. But the Winnipeg Jets win tonight. They win 4-1. They beat Minnesota, so clearly Minnesota loses. Dallas loses. Colorado loses. 36 points, 6 points up on second, which is Minnesota, which is a huge swing because if they lose to Minnesota tonight, all of a sudden Minnesota is 2 points behind them. What a magical night for Winnipeg. Like, not only do they win, but everyone that's chasing them loses, and this team, ho-hum, just keeps moving along. All right, bro, before we get into the 2 games on the ice on Tuesday, anything that we missed, anything that you want to talk about from the weekend that we skipped by?
I'm trying to, think back, trying not to think about the Rangers. We talked about the Avs for a little bit. Just can't get that last little bit to actually be on a roll.
They need a goalie. Like, they can't keep doing this, man. And I know that we said this about the Devils last year, and I know it's not that easy just to go get a goalie, but they got to figure something out, man. We said this before the season.
Sorokin.
Yeah.
Because, Patrick Waugh loves from alarm. I'm not even going to try. It's too late at night for that. Sorokin. I know he's got the tag already. He already got paid, but it might be worth the risk. They have the worst, talking about the Avs, worst save percentage in the league. The PK is not doing too hot, but again, that ties into goaltending just a little bit. Granted, I did watch Georgie play less than a week ago.
You were
I
there. Yep.
watched him play Thursday. He was fantastic.
Yep.
A little bit shaky every time he left the crease. Actually, very shaky every time he left the crease. It was terrifying. But otherwise, when he was in the blue paint, man was making moves. Man was
Was
getting
it
stopped.
a Noonan in that
Tonight?
tonight?
Oh, that is a great question.
Oh, it was both of them.
It was. Noonan started, gave up
Yeah.
5 in the first, got pulled, and then yeah.
That's a tough spot for Georgie, though. You can't put that on Georgie, right? Those 3 goals.
No.
That's a tough spot.
I mean, at that point, you're down 5-1. What are you going to do?
You're down 5-1. You're both in for 30 minutes, almost exactly each.
Which is weird.
That's tough, man. Yeah, I mean, listen, the reality is that they're not getting a goalie until the deadline. That's probably, unless you want to go like really like Mrazek. Like you just like who's a good goalie. Like no disrespect to Mrazek, but it doesn't have to be him. I'm just saying, like pulling somebody off of one of those teams, like Merzlinkins.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like you know what I mean? Like you're not getting a goalie off of a team that thinks they're going to make it to the playoffs, and like Sorokin, it would have to be number one. I don't even think they could make the money work. Like I don't have Colorado's cap structure burned into my brain, but I'm pretty sure it's not great. And Sorokin's getting paid a lot of money for a really long time, so I don't even know if that would work.
Yeah.
But you're gonna have to get a goalie from one of those teams, like from Columbus, from Chicago. San Jose doesn't really have anybody. Like maybe Blackwood.
Well, I was gonna say Blackwood.
I mean, is he better than what you have?
It doesn't hurt to find out.
Dude, you know what I mean?
And
you're not trading a bunch to get Blackwood. Like, I'm no trade expert, but I don't think you're trading like a second-round pick to get Blackwood. No disrespect to Mr. Blackwood. He's a fine goaltender. Better than me, for sure.
Yeah. There's a couple flyers out there. I think Jari or Blackwood, if you want to take a risk. Maybe Nedeljkovic, too. Obviously, you can only get one in Nedeljkovic or Jari. But
you only want one.
Anaheim.
You don't want to swap goaltending positions with Pittsburgh, man.
Yeah.
That's tough.
It's going from bad to worse.
Yeah.
I mean, with the way Dostal is playing, though, in Anaheim, I think maybe John Gibson.
Well, this is a conversation that's been going on for literally years. Is Anaheim sucks, and they're going to suck for a while. Now, I don't think they suck anymore. They're probably not a playoff team still, but I actually think that Anaheim has something good going on.
Yeah.
But he just doesn't want to leave, dude. Like, he just seems like that's just like the vibe that everyone's giving off is like Gibson, like he would want to win. Like, winning would be nice, but also like wearing flip-flops is pretty sick, like in December. You know what I mean? And that just kind of feels like his vibe. I don't know.
Do you think the Canadians would part with Montembeault?
No.
Okay.
I don't. Oh, I mean, you never know, I suppose. Like, their rebuild's going to go on for a couple more years. But they just signed him, did they not? I think they just extended him.
I mean, that means nothing, depending on what you get back.
It's not quite coach firing, but I hear what you're saying.
And I mean, Carey Price is still technically a Canadian.
Yeah, he's still signed. He's eligible for the Hall of Fame next year. I'm pretty sure Shea Weber's still getting paid, and he's in the Hall of Fame now, so it's not unprecedented.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting, man. For Colorado, like, Nikushin's back now. Landeskog still, like, everyone's holding out hope that he's going to be back, but I don't know. But all the troops are back now. Like, besides Landeskog, obviously. But all the troops are back now, man. Like, Druin's back. Yeah. Letnin's back. Nikushin's back. It's going to take time for him to kind of get his feet moving. But this goaltending situation, man, it's got to get figured out. Has to.
Yeah. We saw what happened last year. So.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. All right. Two games in the NHL on Tuesday night, and let's dive right in. The Vancouver, two teams that are just full of drama right now. It's quite incredible. The Vancouver Canucks are in Boston, the newly coached Boston Bruins. Let me just look up, make sure I got this exactly right. Boston Bruins are minus 128 at home. Bear with me. Here we go. All right. Oh, some Vancouver money coming in. Makes sense. Boston's minus 122 now. At home, Vancouver Canucks were plus 106. They are now plus 102. Minus 1.5 for Boston's plus 205. Plus 1.5 for the Canucks is minus 260. The over is 5.5 at minus 112. And the under is minus 108. Andre, what do you got, man? Vancouver, Boston. Vancouver, lots of drama. Boston, new coach bump, 2 in a row. What do you got? Vancouver, Boston, Tuesday night.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer Boston wasn't worse before firing their coach, because this is prime dead cat bounce territory for them. But they were 500, so it doesn't really count. They were just a middling stock, not a cratering stock. You talked about it a bit earlier. 1-0 win, first game with the new coach. 2-1 win. 2 days later in Detroit, they're back home. They're facing a Vancouver team that's kind of been meh lately. I know they beat the Senators 4-3, but Ottawa has plenty of their own issues right now. Before that, they lost to the vibeless Rangers, we'll call them, and the lifeless Predators. So not exactly playing the hottest hockey. But we talked about this Vancouver team, and we talked about them being really good on the road. 7-1-0. That's the number I'm looking at. That's the number I like. We know the talent that is there. We know what this team is capable of, and that win over the Senators, I know we like to dunk on the Senators. It wasn't a mistake. I mean, they've won 7 in a row in away games. So ride the hot hand. Plus 106. I like the Canucks here. The Bruins can't really score. They're not really proving they can score. It's 5 games in a row where they have not scored more than 2 goals. The coaching change clearly has not seeped into the offense yet. So I'm going to trust the under here. I wouldn't even be scared of Canucks minus 1.5, but I definitely think they're going to win, and I'm definitely going to take that plus 106.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I think, like, if we saw the newly coached Bruins for a couple more games, I think that I would be more willing to buy in. More so, like, I'll look this up exactly here because I don't want to get this wrong. But yeah, dude, like, over the last 2 games, they won 1-0 and they won 2-1. I'm pretty sure that was the score of the last 2 Boston Bruins games. 1-0 against Utah and 2-1 against a team that I can't remember. But over the course of their season, the goaltending, generally speaking, has not been great. They're 20th in the league in goals allowed, which is not a Boston Bruins stat that we're used to seeing. 3.18 goals against per game. They are dead last, like you said, in the NHL in goals per game at 2.32. Good for Swayman. Korpisalo has actually been the better goaltender this year by quite a large margin. Yeah. He's 4-2-1, 2.38 goals against, 0.911 save percentage, 2 shutouts on the year. Swayman, I kind of could feel this coming. When a goaltender misses training camp, man, this is just what happens. This is not new. This is not, Swayman's not special. We see this anytime this happens, whether it's due to injury, whether it's due to the contract situation like this situation was, whatever it is, when you miss training camp as a goaltender, it just takes you a while to catch up to the NHL speed. It's just the way it is, and that's what's happening here. last 2 games for these goaltenders have been really good. Corpusalo has been good, but I'm going to need to see it for one day more. And it feels like if you're watching this show right now and you want to bet Vancouver, that's the way that you're leaning. If you're leaning Boston, then do what you're going to do. But if you are leaning Vancouver, bet Vancouver now. Because the way this line's going, like it was plus 106, now it's plus 102. It feels like the rest of the betting community is looking at this plus money, and they're thinking the same thing we are. So if you are watching this and you want some Vancouver action tomorrow night, take it now because it looks like it's going to be probably minus money close to a pick 'em by the time the puck drops. So I'm right there with you, man. Vancouver plus 102. I'll take it. Total? No. No. I can't take the total. The Boston goaltending is not trustworthy. And quite frankly, the Vancouver goaltending, although I'd rather one guy than the other, the Vancouver goaltending situation is not super trustworthy either. So I'll just take Vancouver, and we'll see what happens. All right, moving on to Montreal, where the Utah Hockey Club are in Montreal. Montreal is plus 118 at home, minus 142 on the Hockey Club on the road, continuing their Canadian road trip. Minus 1.5 for Utah is plus 172. Plus 1.5 for Montreal is minus 215. The over is 6.5 at plus 112, and the under is minus 138. Andre, what do you got, bro? Utah, Montreal, Tuesday night.
Yeah, we got quite the burner for part 2 of this double header, huh? Except it's not a double header because both games are at 7 o'clock. Good job, NHL.
I was holding. I'm glad you said it because I was holding back, man. It drives me nuts.
Somebody had to say it.
Yeah.
What drives me nuts is that these places try to pretend like Utah, or I guess Arizona before them, has never played Montreal because they just don't have the records. Really annoying. What we do know, Utah, they've lost 4 of their last 5. The lone win, while impressive, 6-1, it was over everyone's punching bag, the Pittsburgh Penguins. So I'm not really buying into that. They've struggled on the road, 4-6-2, 4-8 if you want to ignore the losers' points. And most of those losses have been this month. They've traveled 7 times in November. They've only won twice. Only got to overtime once. You look at the Canadians, rebuilding team, expectations are low. Doing roughly what we'd expect of them. Deserve some credit, though. They've won 3 of 5. They won 2 of 3 at home. 5-1 over Columbus, 3 over Edmonton. They're not playing terrible. We talk about this Canadian team a lot, and it's like they can fight. They're competitive. You can't take them easy, even if they even if you beat them. They can very easily scare you.
Sure.
And at home, especially with their special teams, they're top 10 in power play and PK, 2 areas where Utah is 20th or worse. I think the Canadians should be favored. I understand why they're not. I'm going to roll with the underdog again here. I'm staying away from a total because I don't know what to expect from either team. I don't think either team has that trust, but I like the Canadians here, so I'm taking another underdog in Montreal.
Yeah, so I'm right there with you. Full disclosure, I do not love it. Like I don't. Yeah. I mean, taking Montreal is a tough thing to do right now. I'll tell you this, man. Like, it's been tough for Montreal. No one expected them to make it to the playoffs. I know that I said, and I did think that they would play meaningful games in the spring. I really did. Like, and spring, I mean like March and April. I thought that they would still be in the mix, and it doesn't quite look like that's going to be the way that it will go. But it's been pretty dramatic there, and they've had some really tough stretches, not the least of which was losing 6-2 to Vegas on Saturday. That was tough. there's lots of chatter in Quebec and in Canada about like Martin St. Louis, what his future is. Is he gonna, ride the wave, or are they gonna let him go? From everything that I've read, and once again, like I don't know, I'm not in the room, I'm not an insider, I don't talk to these people. But from what I have read, it appears that they really like this guy, like the players do, and they want to play well for him. And they got embarrassed on home ice Saturday night. And I know it's Vegas, not Utah. Vegas is a very, very good hockey team. They're Stanley Cup contenders. We all know that. But I just feel like they got embarrassed on home ice. You have a Utah team. They're on a road trip. They had to walk. They had to walk from Union Station to Scotiabank Arena. Could you imagine an NHL team? You thought that you left Arizona, so now you're a real team. No. Get out of the bus and walk. You can't allow this. I like Montreal here too. I'm right there with you. Plus 118. Like I said, I don't love it. Utah's a good team. Like they're a good team. They're gonna have their growing pains as well. But Utah is much further along in the rebuilding process than Montreal is. But I'm right there with you, man. I'll take Montreal. Bounce back for their coach on Tuesday night. Now, I don't know what you have there. I do not have any props at all available to me yet for this game. When I do, I'm taking Cole Caulfield to score because I always do, and it works out quite a bit.
I'm seeing anytime at plus 155 right now. So
love it. I would lock that in if I had the ability to. I love FanDuel, but come on, man. Usually there's at least anytime goal scorers, but there we go. All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining us late on your Tuesday night. We appreciate you. Moving on to our best bets segment, brought to you by the one, the only First Round Collectibles. Right now with our promo code SportsAddict, get 10% off whatever sports card you want in the entire First Round Collectibles store. They have an ongoing sale up to 50% off tons and tons of cards. And with our promo code SportsAddict, not only do you get 10% off of regular priced items, but sales items as well. Go to firstroundcollectibles.com today. Use promo code SportsAddict for 10% off your order. That's firstroundcollectibles.com. First Round Collectibles, sports cards for sports fans. Andre, what do you got as your best bet? I'm going to throw this out here. We normally don't do this. I don't think we've ever done this. But if you just want to do a two-legger, I'm fine with it. I'm trying to think of what else to throw in here. I don't have props available to me for either of these games. So if you just want to do a two-legger, we can do it. But I know you like to roll the dice, so you tell me what you think.
I mean, I have more options than you. I can get a little more creative, but I'm fine with I think the two you want to do is just the underdogs, Canucks, the Canadian teams. We can go straight Canada today.
Love it.
I'm so for it. And I already had it loaded in my bet slip. Look at that. Nothing else was in there.
I literally just did the same thing.
It was in there before we even started the segment. Real quick, I do want to give a shout out to the San Jose Sharks because they always play the Kings tough, and it's never not entertaining to me.
What is it now?
It's 2-2. It's still second intermission.
Okay.
It's just, I love it. You know, every time these teams play each other, it's like, oh, the Sharks, they suck, and the Kings are fighting for their life.
I was a fool taking the Kings minus 1.5. I knew this too.
You can't do it.
No, I know.
You can't do it.
Foolish.
Doesn't matter how bad they are. They make them fight. It's beautiful. I have Canucks plus 102 and 20, so that's plus 344 for me.
Cool. You beat me this week or today. I got Montreal plus 118, Vancouver plus 102, plus 340. And when it's available to me, I will throw a Cole Caulfield in there as well. You know what, man? I was gonna leave it alone, but I'm just gonna do it because you open the floodgates, and I'm just going to do it. The scheduling for the NHL this week is so frustrating to me. Like, what do we have tonight? 11 games, I think.
Yeah.
1, 2. It was 11.
Oh my.
Right?
Yeah. It was 11.
Tomorrow or Tuesday, depending when you're watching this. Tuesday, there's 2 games on. They're both at the exact same time, so that's great. Wednesday, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 games on Wednesday night. Why 15 games, you ask? Why is there so many games? Because on Thanksgiving, the NHL just bends over for the NFL and just Thanksgiving, not even a point. It's not Thanksgiving here. It's not. Will I be watching football? I'll have it on. But who's playing? Who's playing on Thursday night? It's Green Bay and Miami. And dude, like, no disrespect, Miami, they're frauds. We all know it. Green Bay, they're a good team. Fine. But like, you have Green Bay and Miami. I think that's the nightcap, is it not?
It
is, right?
Yes.
So you have Miami and Green Bay playing. You can't give me one NHL game on Thursday night. It's not Thanksgiving here. Canada, without Canada, I know there's more teams in the States, but without Canada, the NHL, like, nobody cares down there. Okay? I think it's like Andre and a couple other people. Give me a break. No NHL games on a Thursday night. That's ridiculous. And then Friday, which is Black Friday, I do like that they have all these day games. I do. I think that's really cool. They only have 2 games or 3 games after 7 o'clock. 6:30 they have a game, and then a bunch of games in the afternoon. I do like that. Fine. Black Friday, fine. But come on, man. No games on Thanksgiving. It's ridiculous.
Mark, I'm not gonna lie, man. You start winning some cups, and maybe you can make the schedule. But until then, America gets to dictate things. So
no,
you just gonna have to suck it up.
It's so stupid, man. I friggin' hate it. Why don't you do all Canadian teams? Why not a night of all Canadian teams on a Thursday then?
They need to add one more. There's only 7.
What's your least favorite city in America that has a team?
I mean, you know what I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
You just eat that up.
Throw St. Louis in there. Why not? Or
a
Florida team. I feel like 70% of America doesn't really claim Florida as their own. They're like, Florida's that weird second cousin out there. We don't really talk too much.
See, we hate Florida, but like, they're good. They have fans. It's warm there.
Yeah.
People vacating. We can't get rid of Florida. It
That's
sucks.
true.
I wish we could get rid of Florida. Can't get rid of Florida. We could get rid of something like St. Louis or Columbus. Who needs Columbus?
Dude,
they're a college town anyway.
Columbus is a great town. I love Columbus.
Oh yeah, I haven't been yet. You keep telling me that, but
yeah.
I mean, what's in Columbus besides Ohio State and godly wings? Apparently, we don't need Salt Lake City. Just gonna throw that out there.
Salt Lake City is they're actually, now that I think about it, they're the second cousin. No offense, Salt Lake City, but I feel like
yeah, Anaheim's I know that they technically don't represent a city. We could get rid of Jersey. I mean, Newark, New Jersey, like Anaheim. You're just sitting in the shadow of LA, Orange County people. I'm not gonna. The Bay Area's had enough.
Oh no, this is right in front of. No, this is right in front of us. This is easy. I know it's America. It's a great city of America. So I'm changing the narrative of this whole conversation. Buffalo. It's literally an hour and a half away from my front door. I can get to Buffalo before 2 a.m. Like,
Closer
it's
to
Buffalo.
than me.
It's Buffalo. Buffalo should be involved. Buffalo and all the other Canada teams on Thanksgiving. I think it's ridiculous. And you do it all at night. Like, football's you got 2 games in the day. You start the games before the nightcap starts. The games are half over before before kickoff. It drives me nuts. But you know what? It's too late to complain. We're going off the rails. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Or I'm going off the rails, really, because I can't help myself. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. As always, we really appreciate it. We will be back, I believe. We will be back on Wednesday, some point in time on Wednesday, probably during the day. We'll let you know. But we'll be back on Wednesday. We appreciate you guys very, very much. Shout out once again to First Round Collectibles, promo code Sports Addict for 10% off your order. Who's in the chat? Who's hanging out?
San Jose is up 4-2. Had to get
Are they really?
Yes. I love that team. Especially when they play the Kings. So good.
That's incredible.
TV. Shout out to Dildo.
Oh, you said it. I wasn't gonna say the name, but you went there.
Yeah.
This guy.
No fear.
Oh my gosh. There's kids watching at 1 a.m, don't you know? Shout out, man. It's good to have you. Maybe you're not a man.
Probably
whoever
busy,
you are. Right? Yeah, we appreciate you. What in the world was I saying? First Round Collectibles. Promo code Sports Addict for 10% off your order. FirstRoundCollectibles.com. And of course, as always, shout out to Total Apex Sports. Check them out, TotalApexSports.com. Have a wonderful, wonderful Tuesday. We'll see you Wednesday, getting you ready for Wednesday night's action. Until then, we'll see you next time.